Yeah, I'm doing fanfic today, starting with marrying Haibara. Let's start. Chapter 1, An Arrangement. Alright, so shoot me. I had another thought in my mind. Please read and review. Chapter 1. I do not think we'll see each other anymore after this, Haibara said. Conan leaned forward as he watched her make her way to the front door. The rain splattered on the window outside. Their luck for the past few years had turned stale after all. Sure, they finally got the organization found out and sent them all to prison, but there were terrible prices to pay when they did that. There was no antidote. There was nothing in the beginning and the end, just a blotched experiment with backfires. Conan had to tell Rachel that Jimmy was dead. It was not easy. He and her cried at nights after that, but it was weeks after now, and Rachel had gotten over it. Although Conan caught her every now and then talking about Jimmy to her new boyfriend, he didn't mind a bit being one of Jimmy's biggest fans. Conan hid a smile. Haibara opened a door facing tearful faces at Amy, George, and Mitch. Conan just watched her leave, while the professor packed some extra things for her. I know you leave, the professor said, so I packed some of my style magazines for you. It wasn't picked up by me because I know nothing that sort about that. I asked the counter girl, and she recommended these to me. Thanks, Hybra said quietly, taking the bag from him. Outside, the rain continued to pour. I guess I'll see you all, Hybra said, stepping into a taxi. There was a strange bitterness that filled his heart after this, totally forgetting about the irony of what she had said. I don't think I'll see you anymore, and I guess I'll see you all. We were in totally two different universes. But his mouth snapped shut. It would just be stupid for him to quarrel with her one last day. What's wrong? Hybra said tauntingly. Aren't you going to give me a kiss goodbye? Conan blinked before smiling witheringly. Maybe next time, he said. She turned and walked down the pavement. There won't be a next time, she said softly, shutting the taxi door. She gulped as she sat in the dark taxi, looking down at her feet. Where to, missed a driver's kind voice. She took one last look at Conan and the others. The airport, she said faintly. The airport. Conan watched the taxi leave the street, Hybra's hands visible in the cab, waving at them. Amy started to cry. Will we see her again? Amy sobbed. Conan sighed as he shut the door. Probably not, he said, and the rain continued to fall. 10 years later. Conan was tired. It was strange to feel 30 in his head, but in real life he was a mere 21. He smiled bitterly as he walked into his house and unlocked the gate, pushing the door open when the professor's grinning face appeared on him. Wagga! Conan yelled, jumping back in shock. The professor wiped his dusty clothes and yawned. Well, you finally got back, the professor said rather tiredly. I've been waiting here to scare you for hours and hours. And was it worth the wait? Conan asked sarcastically. Yeah, the professor said, grinning. Then his face fell and suddenly looked important. Hey, speaking of which, I have something I would like to talk to you about. Jimmy's sarcastic expression quickly changed to his. Oh yeah, he asked, unlocking the door. What about? It's something I can't say in public, he said. Conan's eyes widened. Ah, you got me suited? The professor rubbed his temple tiredly and grinned at him sheepishly. Yeah, he said. A friend of mine said he had a daughter who was extremely beautiful but didn't show much interest in men, as we are, as we all are elbow her brain level. Brain level? Conan said, his eyebrows raised. Yeah, Professor replied. But it was actually his daughter, just a scientist friend he had wanted to know if I had a son or anyone who would be suitable for her. And you've chosen me, Conan said wearily. Glad to see you're catching up so fast, the professor said. This is no time to joke around, Conan snapped before the professor flinched. This is a wedding we're talking about. Why are you setting me up with some girl I had never even met before? What if I totally hate her? Did you ever think of that? What if the girl I'm looking for is just around the corner? The professor said nothing. Rachel's married, Jimmy. Conan turned cold. I know that, he said. Hybra is gone, the professor pressed on. I'm aware of that, Conan spat out. Then just give this girl a chance, the professor said brightly. Who knows? What if I don't, Conan said. The professor blinked. I knew it, Conan said, a huge thing throbbing in his head. You're not mad, aren't you? The professor asked. No, Conan said, clenching his fist. Not at all. The professor gulped. Conan sighed, giving up, and fell back into his chair behind him. There was no use in getting angry now, he said to himself. All he could wish now is that the girl wouldn't be too horrific or terrible to look at, and hope it's for the best. He scratched his head. How old is she? He asked. Just a few months older than you, the professor said brightly. Conan raised his eyebrows. In your fake age. Thank you. He's got up, yawning. I'm going to bed, he said to The professor tiredly, and he nodded, getting up from his seat. Yeah, I guess you better get ready for the meet her tomorrow, he said, ignoring Conan, who was faking to vomit. I don't think you'll hate her, but my friend says she's kind of cold on the surface, but when you get to know her, she is really a sweet girl. Conan stopped where he stood. Could it be? He smirked and continued walking. Nah, couldn't be. Jimmy, you look terrible. Thanks, I love you too. Jimmy didn't get a wink of sleep from the following night. He had been tossing and turning in his bed all night, worrying to himself, hopefully sick, but wake up to find himself not only pink of his health, but with a sore headache and huge brown eye bags. I'm sorry. He yawned and bit into the slice of toast in his hand. Yes, the professor managed to force him into a suit. Yes, the professor managed to drag him into the car. Yes, the professor managed to get him to the front door of the house. But he was sure as heck as he was not going to manage to make him like this girl. What are the chances that it's possible for him to fall in love with a girl that was almost 10 years younger than he was? Almost positively zero. In fact, the professor straightened his tie and knocked on the door, and it swung open immediately. The person who opened it looked extremely dotty, a large grin on his face, and as he saw him, and almost jumped into the professor's arm. Agasa! Long time no see, he roared, smacking his shoulder blade so hard that it was appealing. He let go. The professor rubbed his painful shoulders weakly. This is Conan Edogawa, the professor said, pointing at Conan, who nodded slightly. The man raised his eyebrows and looked at him up and down in a manner almost checking him out. Very nice, he rubbing his chin. You look perfect for her. Too bad I wasn't a girl, or I might pounce on you right now. Conan laughed nervously. The man coughed and turned his heel. Wait here a moment, he said. I'll ask her out to come out. And off he went. Conan blinked and watched him go. What is the girl's name? He asked quietly. The professor thought of it for a while. I don't know, he said sheepishly and laughed. What? Conan said, slurring his words. Well, he and I have always believed in first love. Thus, it would be more romantic if you two didn't know anything about each other. Conan almost punched him in the face right then and there. No wonder you both are single, he muttered. What? What? The professor asked, throwing his words right back. Nothing, nothing, Conan said. I told you I don't want to get married, came a snappish reply, as he watched the girl being pushed into the living room, his eyes widening as he watched her being shown, part by part. His face rose into a blush. Gosh, she's beautiful, he whispered to himself. She had long, slender legs, a thin and tight waist, large bosom, a slender neck, and a goddess face. Then he frowned. Where did he see her before? The Conan was The professor was watching her, and his mouth opened slowly. The girl stopped looking at the man and looked at the two of them. She stopped in mid-sentence. Her eyes looked from Conan to the professor. Well, the man said, beaming. Introduce yourself to him. She just stared at him before luscious lips spread into a smile. Such a familiar smile. Haibara, she said, her hands on her hip, enjoying the shocking expression on both their faces. Haibara, I. That is the end of Chapter 1. I hope this can be a masterpiece. So please review me if you haven't thought this was good. Chapter 2 will be more exciting, and I'll add other characters and appearance to the detective boys. Richard, Miss Cadence, Rachel, Harvey, I guess, Kazuya, Jen, and the others. Please read an interview, and Chapter 2 will be up and ready in a jiffy. P.S. Looks like the story fits the name Ai Adagawa even more. Hopefully, I can think of good names for this. Now, I'm sorry if well, as I said, this was a good chapter. Well, I don't have enough time to probably read the second one to you. I know you all are dying to read, but I'm gonna make you guys wait a little bit. You see, each day, or actually later on today, I'll actually do chapter 2. Now, I know you people are saying, like, you messed up in some of your sentences, structure, and all that. Yes, I know I was being pressed for time, but that's okay. We all make mistakes. And also, to make sure anybody doesn't know what this story is about, I have a few minutes spare. It's basically called Detective Conan or Case Closed in America, as it's called here. Yeah. Basically, it's about a guy named Jimmy Kudo. You know, the reason why I've been switching back and forth to Jimmy to Conan is because they're both one and the same. They're both the same person. Jimmy Kudo is Conan Edogawa because he was poisoned by the black organization and he was turned into a kid. Haibara I is like him. Her name is actually Sherry, or Vi Graythorne in the American version. So, but I think that'll be coming up more later on. So for me, Knight Rider 7602 signing off. Goodbye for now.